25 minutes past 7, and you're still watching Sunrise at Sea, and just in time for your lifestyle and wellness segment. And this morning we're going to be discussing a very vital and important issue, and that is called the bipolar disorder. Now, just to give you a bit of stats, estimates suggest that up to 35% of Ugandans suffer from some sort of mental disorder, and 15% of those actually go ahead and get treatment. Now, world over, 7 million people world over actually are suffering from the bipolar disorder, while statistics do show that Asians and Latinos are more commonly treated for the bipolar disorder. And that is why we're going to be discussing this issue, because now and again it has surfaced in most African countries, and of course it is living amongst even Ugandans, and you may not even know that you are actually suffering from the bipolar disorder and how best you can actually seek the treatment. Well, joining me at the center of this discussion, of course, I am no expert when it comes to the bipolar disorder. However, I do have someone joining me this morning, and his name is Jimmy Odoki, and he's the coordinator of Heart Sounds Uganda, and he has interest in mental health advocacy and education matters. Good morning, Jimmy, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Shivan. Thanks for having me. I am very honored to be here on your show. It's good that you have taken interest in bipolar disorder, because it's a very serious condition that we have not talked about and not many people know. So it's good to have people have awareness.
Absolutely.
In addition, there is World Bipolar Day. It's celebrated in March, every March, 30th of March. So this is an early preparation of sorts, so to have people have this conversation about bipolar disorder.
Well, we are educating them before actually the day does take place.
Yes.
But to give you a definition of what actually the bipolar disorder is, and well, a disorder is associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. Now, bipolar disorder, formerly called as manic depression, is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs. Of course, you can call it either mania or hypomania, and lows, or while others may actually call it depression. So, Jimmy, the first thing that I would like to ask you, because I am aware that there are different types of bipolar disorders, so could you break them down for us?
Well, bipolar generally is classified as bipolar 1, bipolar 2, but it's going deep into the classification is not a big thing. It's just usually it's left for the experts, for the specialists. Myself, I'm a mental health advocate. I'm not really a doctor, so the deeper diagnosis is given by a psychiatrist usually. Mainly a psychiatrist. So they're the ones who make the diagnosis, but they don't, bipolar 1 and 2, it's about the degree of, one is mild, the mania is mild, and another one has more, extended, because bipolar is a mood disorder. So you're either high or low. The high is the mania, the low is the depression, but the characteristics, and generally here in Uganda, the doctors just say you have bipolar. They don't go. They don't go deep into whether bipolar 1 or 2, because they're very similar. So sometimes it confuses people. So
what are some of the causes, or what leads people to have these bipolar tendencies?
The real cause of bipolar is not known, but it's thought that it could be related to genetics in some people, but there are things that trigger the episodes of the mood disorder, the depression, the mania. There are things usually is about stress, and some people are very resilient. When we have problems, some people can withstand very deep problems, but in bipolar, some people, their resilience is low. So when the stress is too much, it could trigger a manic episode. It may trigger a depressive episode in them. So, but the real cause, because even the way malaria is tested, and that it comes from mosquito bites, but for bipolar there's no real lab test that they do and it's confirmed. But it's more conversational with they say our person has had these changes over a
period of time.
Yeah. So sometimes some of the triggers you can notice is when maybe you lack sleep, you can't sleep for some days. That can easily trigger an episode of mania or depression. Usually mania, if you don't sleep, because when people become very argumentative, when people get easily irritated, Those are, but usually, you know, as lay people, we can only say, oh, we are noticing this, but it's usually the psychiatrists who can tell
That, yeah.
properly after assessing so many things.
Okay.
And even some tests are done, not for other things to notice, maybe some, you know, the level of hormones and all those things. And then they make a general, from all those tests and conversations with people who are close, they can know.
Okay. So, Jimmy, I have done some research, and I'm very well aware that this is actually something that you're very conversant with, something that, you know, has you have been through. Tell us your story. Share with us your story.
Well, in my case, you know, also bipolar can, if you go to a strange place, you know, you're used to a certain routine, and all of a sudden things change, and you're not comfortable, or you are not. It's a very strange environment. For example, they say that in young people, when they're going to boarding schools, they leave home, some people adjusting becomes a problem. New environments, even work environments. Some people, if you're used to a certain routine and then it is change, you may fail to adapt, and it can easily lead to that. So in my case, I went to study out of the country. I was for my undergraduate, and probably, you know, integrating cultural differences and the stress, even, you know, trying to perform when parents put too much pressure on the children to perform in school, and it can break them down. So I'm doing a very tough course. It's a new environment. So I'd not had any experience before. So it was the first time I was throughout my primary, secondary, then in university, undergraduate. That was the first time. But it was difficult. They didn't know, the university didn't know, because sometimes it can be interpreted as being indisciplined. When you start doing things, you become erratic and all that stuff. So for the first time, it's very difficult for people to know, because, you know, when you've been all this calm person, a very good person, then all of a sudden your behavior changes totally, drastically, and it's confusing for people. So it was a lot of, it took time before I got a proper diagnosis that what was actually the problem was bipolar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you face any sort of stigma from the people around you?
Well, you know, I got excluded from the university because, one, they didn't know. They thought I was being indisciplined. Of course, my relatives, many people didn't know. They thought maybe I was doing drugs. Maybe I was, I mean, money can make you do crazy things. You could go partying, you could go drinking, because you want to do things that make you very happy. So in my case, they thought maybe I'm on drugs, or it was difficult. So of course, people will stigmatize you, people will fear you, and they'll talk behind your back, because they do. You say, this person has changed all of a sudden. Is it all like that? Until when they get to know, oh no, it wasn't that. He was actually having a problem like this. Because some people, even when you're diagnosed with, they still stigmatize. They think, but other people know, people who understand mental health issues and read, they get to understand that it's normal. You can be treated and you'll be well. I have met other people, some of my classmates, who were treated and finished their courses. There's one who wrote a book, In Search of Sanity: How I Turned My Bipolar Disorder into a Blessing. He's an engineer. He has a very good book, Begumisa. It's called Engineer Begumisa Mesinguzi. He's a very good friend of mine. Such things now encourage that, you know, it's not doom when you have bipolar. You can still, you know, do things that are fine, and it's just an episode that when it's treated, you get back to normal. And when they know how to manage it, it might never suffer. Some people even have it just once, others never have it after the treatment. So it's it can be handled. It's not a lifelong, as a mental health. Well, it might be lifelong. It depends on the individual and what environments are they in, what kind of work, what support network do they have at home. So it varies but that is usually a discussion with the doctor. You see, some of them take you off meds after some period of time, depending on how you know. Yesterday was World Epilepsy Day, and the doctor was saying, if you don't have an attack for 2 years, then you're considered. But if you have, then they start counting again. Also for bipolar, if you don't have any episode for some period of time, they know how to assess and say, oh, I think now he's doing okay.
Okay.
So it's possible to...
As a mental health advocate, for someone who is watching at home this morning and they want to understand to actually know the telltale signs that I am actually having a bipolar disorder without even necessarily going to see a doctor first? What are some of those signs that you can actually tell, and when is it time to actually seek professional help?
Well, I think, okay, these are some of, not all.
Yes.
Yeah, especially when someone withdraws from what they like to do. It's a withdrawal symptom that they like to hang out, meet people, and now they are closed. They don't want to talk. They don't want to pick calls. It may be maybe 1-2 days, but if it's going extended for some days, then that might be signaling something.
Okay.
And two, if someone maybe wasn't partying too much and they then start going on a party spree, or drinking too much, or talking too much, you know.
Talking too much.
Too much, you can, you know, talking too much. There's talking too much, which is understandable. But then there's talking too much where you have a flight of ideas. You don't finish this, you start on another. Like people, then, you know, people also are good at noticing this. But like maybe when the person never used to be like that, but all of a sudden, you know, rapidly, you know, because when you have a mania, you have very many ideas. Some of them can be accomplished, can be done. Others are maybe too much. And when, you know, it's just you keep interrupting, and then when it's not your nature, it's just started. So if it's extending for some period of time, then it should raise concern.
Okay.
Or someone, you know, this one is difficult to know if you're not with the person. Like sleep, if you notice the person is up, they don't. Some people say, oh, it's my nature. I don't like sleeping for long. I can handle a few hours. But they say we should at least sleep for 6-7 hours. You know? But some people are up. But you know, like sleep, you can't cheat. You have to sleep. If you don't, that some people don't. They keep doing. Now with social media, it's usually, okay, I've noticed from my own experience and from other people, when people begin posting random things or writing too much at a rate that, you know, you can, you know, in social media you can easily monitor, but what I noticed is that the doctors don't like to go into people's lives. But even relatives and friends can, you know, people say, oh, so is doing this, what's going on? Like, those are some signs.
Okay.
They get quarreling with people. Someone who used to be calm and never made, then all of a sudden is just making noise, quarreling with everyone here, left and center. Those are some, for some people it can be normal. They say being vocal. Being vocal shouldn't be confused.
Yes.
Some people are just vocal. They like to raise issues. They stand up, and sometimes people confuse that and say, oh, we think that so-and-so has maybe bipolar. And people also make a mistake and say someone is bipolar. Someone is not bipolar. Someone has bipolar. Because if you say someone is bipolar, then you are describing the condition is as a person is describing the person. Because you say someone has malaria, not someone has his malaria. So also people make say, oh, so-and-so is bipolar. No. Even we can't say so until the diagnosis is made by psychiatrists. So ours can just be, we are not we suspect that he has or he or she has this condition. Yeah.
So as we wrap up the conversation, for someone that is watching us this morning and is maybe suffering from the bipolar disorder, what would you want to tell them?
Or for people who have been diagnosed already with bipolar, I said, you know, you have talked to your doctor. It's just listen to what the doctor says and stay on the medication. Some people say, oh, when they get well, they say, why should I take the medicine now? I'm okay. No, it's a discussion with your doctor. So just stay on course for treatment and listen to what your doctor says. And yeah, keep off stressful environments. That's what you know. Of course, you can't totally avoid stress. They will come at some point.
Yes.
But you know how to manage, how to limit things that may stress you and, you know, disturb your peace. So, and also, if you feel you can't talk about it, you keep it to yourself. It's not a must that everyone should know. If you're comfortable, of course, people will still stigmatize you if you come out. That is the world. So you shouldn't be worried that now what are people saying about me? I have bipolar. It's just like a disease, like malaria, like any other disease that are treated. Why should one be scared of? It's a normal thing, and people get well and they do normal things that any other person can do. So it is not a death sentence, or
Yes.
that you can't do anything.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So how about to the parents, guardians, friends, these people that stay with actually people that have been diagnosed with bipolar? What would you tell them?
For their friends, guardians, be supportive to them. Don't give up on them. Some things may go on for long, but don't give up. They'll eventually get well. So don't fear that what other people say. Just give them good environment, good conditions for them. They'll get better, or they'll manage with it and do things other people can do. So just being supportive is one of the things. It's just not a medical model where you pump people with medicine.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's also support at home, environment, and those help in recovery.
Okay.
So it's possible to recover, or it's possible to even have it and still do things, as long as you listen, you take the medicine, and you manage your environments and conditions well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy, for joining us this
I
morning.
thank you so much. I also thank Albert Elwa, whom I've represented,
Yes.
from Focus on Recovery. He's our colleague. He was so busy, but he said, Jimmy, please call me last night. You go and represent us and talk about this thing. And I'm so excited. I'm very happy. And Ugandans should read more, especially local literature, the Begumisa's book, there's Angela and Simbi, Breaking Free. They've all written about bipolar.
Yes.
So it's, we relate more with our own people.
Yes.
I mean, there are other books from out there, but our experiences locally
Totally
are better.
different.
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you for giving us the chance to talk about it.
Well, thank you too for honoring our invitation. And that wraps up the conversation that we had for you this morning on lifestyle. Just a word of advice to someone that is watching us this morning. If you are suffering and you have been diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, it is not the end of the world. It is not a death warranty. It's not a death certificate. You can actually overcome it. For people that are living and taking care of people that have been diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, it is very important that be their strength, be their support system. In Uganda and world over, what kills people more is actually the stigma that they face from mental health. Gone are the times when people, were pushed away. Now we are living in times where mental health seems to be becoming the norm. But the question is, how are you actually going to live in this society? And what are you doing to make someone who is having a mental disorder feel better about themselves? Well, up next is Sarah Apollo, and she's cooking something in the kitchen. Are you a lover of vegetables and salads? Well, you definitely do not want to miss. Don't blink.